everyone, my name's Lachlan. Today we're going to talk about yoghurt. So I'm going to show you how we can make yoghurt two different ways in our steam oven. I'll show you one way using UHT milk, like so. You could use fresh milk as well. I'll talk about ways in which we can do that. And another method using powdered milk. So both of these are very easy. Hopefully it's using ingredients that you have within your kitchen or your pantry. And you're going to pop these into your steam oven, come back in a few hours and you've got really nice yoghurt. One of the best things about making yoghurt this way is you know exactly what's in your yoghurt, or if you look at it the other way, you know exactly what's not in the yoghurt. So you can be super confident knowing that this is extremely healthy, perfect for the family, no issues with added sweeteners or anything like that. So you can have that confidence that it will tick all those boxes in terms of health and nutrition, which is fantastic. So let's get straight to it. Here I've got UHT milk. Now UHT is ultra heat treated. So essentially now, because this milk has been heat treated, there's no more bacteria in the product. And this means we get a very consistent yogurt. And to be honest, it should be foolproof, provided we don't go too high a temperature. Now, if you have a fresh milk from the supermarket, what I would say to do is to pop that into your steam oven or on your cooktop, and you need to heat that up above 85 degrees. You want to keep that nice and warm for 15 to 20 minutes or so. And what this will do is it will kill any potential bacteria that may be living in that milk. This is just a precautionary measure. If there's some bacteria in there, it can muck around with those cultures that might be within that yogurt, and therefore the yogurt result that you get can be different. Now it's really important to note, if you heat up that milk in your steam oven or on your cooktop, that must get below blood temperature before you add your starter or your culture. If that liquid is even slightly hotter than blood temperature, what will happen is there's a very good chance your culture or your starter will die. Therefore, no yogurt. It'll just be warm milk at the end of the process. So if you heat it up, keep that warm for 15 to 20 minutes, cool that down. I would go as far as to say cool that down completely, just to be completely safe, and then you can make the yogurt. So in front of me here, I have got 6 jars. Now I'm going to make, as I said, the yogurt two different ways. What I'm going to do first of all is with 3 of these jars, I'll just put 3 to the side, I'll just fill these up with some UHT milk. So I'll try and divide this as evenly as I can. In fact, I've got a bit more, so let's throw in a 4th jar. Perfect. Okay, so now all I have to do is add my starter. Now there's a few different ways you can approach it. By far the easiest way to do it, and this is the way that I do it at home on a regular basis, is I get some of my old yogurt and add it to this milk. So here I have about 1/4 of a cup's worth of old yogurt. There's nothing wrong with yogurt, it's still alive with those cultures and the probiotics, but I just don't really have enough here to keep me going. So basically, I'm putting some on a spoon, literally plop it in. That's all you have to do. So I'm not measuring this too much. It's a couple of tablespoons per litre if you're doing it in one big batch. So plop this in like so. Oops, I think I gave that one double, that's okay. That'll just be some extra active yogurt. Our lids will now go on top. So simply screw these up. Now all of these jars are also sterilised in our steam oven. So I simply pop them upside down, selected the disinfecting program, 15 minutes and we've got a nice sterilised jar. So now these are ready to go into the steam oven. I'll pop these to the side and we can cook it our other way also. So I've grabbed another jar. I did underestimate how much these jars don't hold, or how much liquid I had, I should say. So I've got a bigger jar and 2 of the same size jars here. This is great to see because the size of the vessel you use doesn't really matter. That might slightly impact how long it takes to make the yogurt, but you can really use whatever you have at home. So these are just old jam jars, but if you have a flip-top jar lying around, or even in a container, a bowl, whatever, it will all work. Now for this second technique of making the yogurt, I've got a litre of water here and approximately a cup of milk powder. So simply popping that milk powder into the water, and now left with this yogurt, I've got about a tablespoon or so. So I'm going to scrape all of that in. We'll use all of it up. And now I'm just going to give this a really good whisk, get everything mixed together really well. That's really nicely mixed together now. I'm simply going to pour this in to my jars. So I'll do this nice big one first of all. So there we go. All those jars are filled up. So now I'll place those jars, I'll pop both of these into the same steam appliance, I'll separate them so we know which one is which. As these are cooking, or growing I should say, depending how we look at it, I'll then actually talk you through how to make a nice granola. So I've got some ingredients weighed up, we'll go through making a granola, and that way we can have basically granola and yogurt for breakfast. So I'll pop the lids onto these as well. I'll take you over to the appliance and we can pop these in and show you the process. Okay, so we're back here at the steam oven. Now I'm going to turn the steam oven on, go into steam cooking, 40 degrees, and I will set this for about 5 hours. Now, this might need a little bit longer. It may not even need 5 hours. Essentially, when we make these yogurts, the longer we cook them, or steam them I should say, the thicker they become, and also the more tart in flavour they become. So if you like a nice, really thick and sour yogurt, go a bit longer. If you like it a bit more runny and not quite as tart, then do it a bit less. So you can check this a few times, give the jar a bit of a wobble and see how you go. But now I'll just place these on the top. So these are my powdered milk ones. I've popped an X on top of each lid, like so, just so we can see at the end the difference at the end. So popping all of these in, and then I'll simply close the door, and that's all we have to do. So depending on the model appliance you have, you might also have a yogurt mode or yogurt function in the special applications. That works exactly the same as what I'm doing now. So feel free to do either or, and literally forget about it. So this is something that's also fantastic for you to put into the appliance overnight, and then in the morning you've got fresh yogurt. So we have the yogurt now cooking away in the steam oven at that 40 degrees, so it's just chilling out, growing nicely, creating some nice yogurt. In the meantime, let's make some granola. So this is a recipe that, to be honest, I just had a look at the fridge and in the pantry and just grabbed out some bits and bobs that are going to be tasty together, essentially. So here I've got some oats, I've got some slivered almonds, some walnuts, some sesame seeds, some dried apricot, currants, some dates, pistachios, some flaked coconut, some flax seeds or linseeds, pumpkin seeds. Also here I've got some honey, about half a cup thereabouts, and also some cinnamon, but any sort of spices along those lines you can pop in, really whatever you please. A pinch of salt also. I'm just going to place this honey, as you can see it's in a small pot now, onto the induction on a really low setting, probably 3 or 4, just so this is at a consistency that I can pour it and evenly distribute it. If I pop this honey in as it is now, I'll have one big clump and it's really difficult for us to mix it together nicely. So I'll pop that on. Now whilst that's warming up, I will add all this stuff together. So oats go in, all of the nuts, seeds, there's no order to this, to be honest, go however you please. So we've got some really nice colours happening, super healthy. As I said, it doesn't really matter what you have. If you have half of these ingredients or you've got all of these ingredients and more, pop in whatever you like. If you have some orange juice or zest or anything like that as well, pop it in. There's no harm whatsoever. So I'm just going to give this a quick mix whilst it's all dry, so we can get this pretty much looking like a muesli in some ways. And to be perfectly honest, if you wanted to have this as a muesli, job done. Mix this nicely, pop it into a container. I would preferably store it in the fridge so it stays fresher, but that's all you have to do. But what we'll do once this honey melts down and becomes nice and loose, I'll mix in that cinnamon with that honey so it's distributed really well, pour it into this, I'll then mix it around again, pop it onto a baking tray, and we'll bake it at 160 degrees, just on fan plus, roughly 20 to 25 minutes, and I will stir it every 5 minutes or so. So bring the edges into the middle. We want to make sure that honey doesn't burn. Once it's cooked, we can sit it on the bench to firm up, pop it into a jar or container. That can live in the fridge to eat with our yogurt once that's ready. This is a great recipe. It's something that I do a version of at home all the time, just with whatever's sort of lying around. Keeps really well, super tasty, it's healthy, it ticks all the boxes, so perfect. Okay, so now these honey's melted really nicely. I've got a bunch of muesli and stuff from my spatula in there. I just use the same one. But you can see now it's at a really nice pourable consistency. So I'm just going to pour that directly on top. Get every bit in. And now you might need to mix this for a minute or so. Get all of this honey mixed within the oats and the nuts and seeds, all of the good stuff. Get this mixed through as best as you can. It will start to clump up, so just be aware of that. Don't worry about it too much. Just do the best that you can. Push it down a bit as well. Use the back of the spatula or the spoon, whatever it is that you're using. Maybe use a slightly bigger bowl than I am too. I'm making it a little bit more difficult on myself. Okay, that's pretty good. So now, baking tray, pour it directly on top. You can use baking paper if you want. I don't think it's needed. The surface on these trays is, I don't even think about using baking paper too much. So spread that out nice and evenly. As I said, bake this for 20-25 minutes or so. Stir it every few minutes, and away we go. Okay, so the granola is now all finished. It's had about 25 minutes. It smells amazing. I wish you were here just to smell that. Really nice. The fruit, the cinnamon, the honey. It's really, really smelling quite delicious. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir up, and simply now I'm just going to leave this on the bench until it cools down. Then I'll pop it into a jar or a container, set that to the side. The yogurt still has about 4 hours to go or so that's way off, but this can be set to the side, and when the yogurt's ready, or tomorrow morning, we can have this for breakfast. Okay, so the yogurt's done now. I've got all of them here, the others are to the side. I've got the UHT version and the milk powder version. So I actually pop these in the fridge for a couple of hours also, just so they cool down. As I'm sure you can imagine, eating lukewarm yogurt isn't the most pleasant experience. I've popped my granola into some jars as well. As you can see, it looks really pretty in the jars. Pop some lids on these in the fridge. That'll last at least a month, or it's a fantastic gift as well. A bit of ribbon around it, happy days. So now, let's build these. Well, let's have a bowl of granola. So, I've got a bowl, simple. I'll just show this yogurt first though. So, this one here is the UHT milk version, which is, I think, a more consistent result. So you've got a nice thick yogurt, like we'd expect. Perfect. The milk powder version, slightly runnier, which may be good for you as well, but we've got a really nice yogurt there also. So it's really up to you with what you choose to use. You might have either of these in the pantry, so it's good just for you to see that there's a bit of versatility involved with what we can use, which is fantastic. So I'm going to pop some yogurt into this bowl. And I like to just pour in the granola to the side. I've got some berries here. This is just what I had in the fridge, some blueberries and some raspberries. So I'm just going to pop a few of those on top. And then if you want a bit of honey, a bit more yogurt, really up to you. So I've got some honey here, nice little tiny jar that I had lying around. So I'll just drizzle some of this over the top. And we've got a really nice, healthy, fully homemade, which is the best part, basically granola and yogurt. So super straightforward. As you saw, really the biggest importance in this is being patient. Pop the yogurt in, forget about it. As I said, the longer you leave it in, the thicker it becomes. The granola, you can make that plenty of time ahead, have that sitting around, and this is a great go-to breakfast. And you can do these in individual jars, just top the jar with some granola as well, so you can have breakfast on the run. But yeah, very easy. I know you can smash this one out at home. So if you like the look of this recipe and it's something that you want to cook at home, you can find the recipe at mieleexperience.com.au and also at mieleexperience.co.nz. There's a heap of recipes on those websites for all of the appliances, a massive range in different recipes and foods as well. So feel free to hop on and have a look. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.